July 28th, the FBI has issued an urgent warning about the COM, a rapidly expanding network of youth aged 11 to 25 engaged in cyber and real world crime, split into hacker com, IRL com, and extortion com. The group commits acts from ransomware attacks to child sextortion and swatting for hire. These crimes are fueled by motives like profit, revenge, ideology, and notoriety. Authorities emphasize the group's growing threat and urge vigilance, especially for youth targeted via social media and gaming platforms. I want to welcome you to episode 1836. I'm your host, Todd Cochran, and this is a very shocking opening story. And if it didn't come from the FBI, I would have really questioned whether or not this was the real deal. But I guess in the times that we live, it should not come as a surprise that like, thousands of people between the age 11 and 25 are engaged in this growing and evolving online threat to commit crime for money, retaliation, ideology, sexual gratification, etc. But they released this trove of research warning that the sprawling cybercrime network of minors and young adults is growing rapidly and splintering into three different groups: HackerCom, in real life com, and extortion com. And HackerCom's members are involved in a vast array of cybercrime activities, including distributed denial of service attacks, personal III, Venus personal identified information, theft and sale of government email accounts, ransomware attacks, SIM swapping, and so forth. IRL, which is another term, com subgroups have gone beyond digital means, offering SWAT for hire services and targeting members for swatting and doxing. Listen to this: kidnapping and extortion, which the FBI refers to as IRL com in real life. And then extortion com is a where they're systematically targeting underage women and vulnerable populations, including children and those who struggle with mental health issues. Victims typically are between the age of 10 and 17-year-olds, but the FBI has said seen victims as young as 9. Threat actors often groom their victims by first establishing a trusting or romantic relationship, eventually manipulating, coercing them into engaging in self escalating harmful behavior. So the extortion com is the one that is pretty wild. And I think as parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles, we all need to have frank and open conversations with youth today to make sure that they have a place to run. As an example, let's say you have a teenager that, has fell in love with somebody online. You may not know about this, but, you can use this as an example. But let's say they've shared some images. You need to make sure, number one, that you talk to your young adults prior to this activity happening and make sure they understand the ramifications of this type of activity. Number two, need to make sure that if they have, they should be able to feel that they can come to you irregardless of what they have done and not be shamed and to be protected. Uh, I think it's just a conversation we have to have with with young men and women these days. And I don't think it's exclusive to the young ladies, even though they're the ones that are being mostly gone after here. So let's be careful and let's talk to um, this population of young adults. Now, the other stuff that's out there, the hacker com and the in real life com, we all understand. the ramifications of being swatted. Anyone that live streams understands this can happen. Um, Not having your location readily available helps, but it's not necessarily going to stop someone that is completely determined. But at the same time, cybercrime activities, now service attacks and so forth, are just run of the mill stuff. So here we are, living in a world where youth between 11 and 25 are now part of the edge group that are doing these activities, along with plenty other adults. It's pretty wild out there for sure. So, what a story to kick off episode 1836. Again, thank you for all being here, and a shout out to our incredible sponsor at GoDaddy. Score exclusive deals and discounts at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And of course, to all of our listeners, you're the real heartbeat of the show. If you want to support GNC, head to geeknewscentral.com/insider and become a GNC insider. Of course, we are lit and live. Don't just listen. Experience the show live by grabbing a modern podcast app at podcastapps.com. You can interact in real time. And of course, check out the full Geek News Central universe at geeknewscentral.com. We've found all of our partner shows and tons of new content. Stay in the loop, follow or subscribe to the podcast via your favorite podcast app. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter right there on the website at geeknewscentral.com for even more insider scoops. Of course, we want you to join the conversation, geeknews.chat, or via email, geeknews@gmail.com. You can hit me up on X as well at Geek News, and you can even, of course, catch me on Facebook. Hope this finds everyone well. Take just a moment here and mention our sponsor. As a Geek News Central listener, um, are you ready for fantastic GoDaddy deals? GoDaddy has officially supported this show for 20 plus years. Get these exclusive savings right now at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy with our GoDaddy promo codes. And let's start with a website or a podcast. GNC codes make it easy and affordable. Grab GoDaddy's economy hosting for just $6.99 a month. That's a full year of hosting with a free domain name, professional email, and an SS certificate. Interested in WordPress, which of course I use exclusively. WordPress managed hosting is just $12.99 a month, which includes a free domain name, professional email, and of course an SSL certificate. If you need a domain name, get yours for only $11.99. That's available immediately. And how about a GoDaddy website builder? If you're not super technically inclined, you can get a free 30-day trial on personal business or business plus plans. I use all of my GoDaddy products and services, and your support keeps this podcast alive. Use our codes, click and save. You're backing this independent team of creators. Share my codes. And again, thank you for keeping us online and going strong. We definitely appreciate you all being here and getting ready to wrap things up. I've got about 7, 9, 10 days left before I head back to the United States. And then I'll be home a week. And then I head to Podcast Movement in Dallas. I come back and then I'm home to the end of the month. I'm going to go out and see my daughter the weekend following Labor Day. And then in the end of September, I go to Madrid to speak to a podcasting conference in Madrid. So that's kind of the quick outlook of the next couple of months of activity. And we're going to keep the show rolling across. Thank you again for your ongoing support of the show. And for those of you that are watching on the live stream today, make sure you say hello. We want you to check in and let us know. Just say hi. That'd be a great way to do that. But I tell you, so far, knock on wood, of course, I did have to reboot my computer today. So I'm watching the Roadcaster. I'm watching the stream. The video is continuing. It hasn't disconnected in 17 minutes. So I'm hoping everything stays online. Hey, big news here from Samsung. Samsung won a 16.5 billion deal to make Tesla A16 chips. It will use a Texas-based factory that had struggled to line up any customers. So this deal goes through 2033. So this is a big deal for Samsung. Very, very, very big deal. And Samsung's giant new Texas fab will be dedicated to making Tesla next generation A16 chips. The strategic importance of this is hard to overstate. Elon says this agreement marks a significant turnaround for Samsung, which really this much pushed back opening the Texas factory until 2026 due to a lack of customers. So, big deal there from Samsung. Now, Samsung currently produces the A14 chip that powers Tesla's FSD. However, the A15 contract went to TSMC in Taiwan, but that design has not been yet completed. So the new deal comes without any strings, excuse me, namely a lot of Musk breathing over the manufacturer's shoulder. Well, you know, Engadget, they have Elon issues and they have TDR as well. It just goes on and on. They hate Elon Musk. It is very obvious that Engadget does just by the tone of their content. They always put some snarky shit in their articles. The new deal doesn't come without strings, namely a lot of Musk breathing over the manufacturer's shoulder. You know, there's more of this. Engadget, go back to reporting tech. Leave the effing politics out of the conversation. My God. It's just never ending with that website. Over in Cyberscoop, Senator Hansen wants to hear from SpaceX about scammers abusing Starlink. Well, this is curious. Meanwhile, and governments have turned up Starlink equipment at scam compounds that are largely centered in Southeast Asia. And the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime highlighted the trend. While SpaceX has stated investigation to deactivate Starlink accounts in various contexts, it seems as not public knowledge use of Starlink for scams originating out of Southeast Asia. Scam networks in Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos, however, apparently continue Starlink despite service rules permitting SpaceX to terminate access for fraudulent activity. Now, scam compounds, especially here in the Philippines, have been getting huge, huge. I mean, it's big in the news. They're rolling up and deporting people almost on a weekly basis, 89, 100, running gambling centers, all kinds of stuff. And so anyway, um, a New York Democrat, Senator Hansen, wants SpaceX to speak up and say, "Hey, this is what we're doing to stop this." I think this is a worthy conversation with SpaceX. To be frank, these scammers steal millions and millions of dollars and ruin people, just absolutely utterly ruin people. So, um, I hope they do have a question and answer here. So, but again, thank you for Cyberscoop for just reporting the facts and not putting something quirky in here. Now, again, and I just want to show you this disparity here on some tech sites. And again, this is Engadget again, and maybe Kirk. Maybe we're going to have to cut the number of articles that we bring up from Engadget and find alternative links to this content. So here's the headline: Everyone's a loser in Trump's AI action plan. Uh this is okay. So does this? You tell me if I'm wrong, and I'll pop the email up here. Let me know if this sounds biased. On July 23rd, the Trump administration released its long-awaited AI action plan, short of copyright exemptions from model training. The mission appears ready to give OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and other major players near everything they asked of the White House during public consultation. Howard, according to Travis Hall, director of state engagement at the Center for Democracy and Technology, Trump's policy vision would put states, and tech companies themselves in a position of extraordinary regulatory uncertainty. It starts with the president's attempt to prevent states from regulating AI systems. In the original draft of the past tax bill, the president included an amendment that would impose a 10-year moratorium on any state level AI regulation. Eventually, that clause was removed from the legislation in a decisive 99 to 1 vote. Okay, so that's all fair. So here's the next section. It appears the president didn't get the message. In his action plan, the president signals he will order federal agencies to only award AI related funding to states without burdensome AI regulations. It's not really clear which discretionary fund will be deemed to be AI related. It's also not clear which current state laws and which future proposals will be deemed burdensome or hindering the effectiveness of federal funds. That leaves state legislatures, governors, and other state level leaders in a tight spot. Extremely vague, and I think that's by design. So again, these nuances of conversation, I understand. Quote people, that's fine. But I guess it's opinion pieces. It just Engadget seems so negative on anything. It just goes on and on. I see it again and again, week after week. Amazing. Were they critical of the previous administration? I don't think so. The BBC is reporting that Microsoft servers hacked by Chinese groups. Chinese threat actors have hacked some Microsoft SharePoint servers. Now, we knew about this. Chinese state-backed Typhoon and Violet Typhoon, as well as China's Storm 2603, were said to exploited vulnerabilities in on-premises SharePoint service. So if you have an on-premise SharePoint server or one in a rack somewhere, we know that this system's been hacked. You need to patch. So this was exploited in a very broad way, very opportunistically before a patch was made available. So be careful here. Again, this continues to make the news all over the world on this particular issue. So, yeah, SharePoint. Apple makes major changes to App Store age ratings. The update removes the 12 plus and 17 plus age ranges and adds three new ones. So it added 13 plus, 16 plus, and 18 plus ratings to the existing 4 plus and 9 plus rating while removing the 12 plus and 17 plus. So developers are also going to have to answer a questionnaire dependent upon, I guess it's basically to ensure that the app is meeting the age requirements that they're stating. Hackers continued. Scattered spider hackers are targeting U.S. critical infrastructure via VMware attacks. They perfected social engineering. So this is a thing we have to be careful of here. Most of these big attacks are getting through because of social engineering. The campaign is described as aggressive and sophisticated. So what they do in the campaign, the hackers do not exploit any vulnerabilities, but instead go for being creative and skilled in doing social engineering. They first reach out to the victim's IT desk, impersonating an employee and asking for a reset on the employee's Active Directory account. And then, after gaining initial foothold, they would scan the network to identify high value targets and using domain names, VMware, vSphere admins, and other security departments. And then they would go after those folks by reaching out to IT again. So again, this is all done by social engineering. And they then open up SSH connections and they have free will. And it happens within a 1 or 2 hour period. It's not over days. They do this very quickly, trying to maybe hit the same person on the staff that they're able to get something reset. So, if you run IT departments, this is really, really important. The BBC is also reporting that Apple and Google have an effective duopoly in the UK. Well, this is no kidding. Apple and Google may be required to change the way they operate some of their mobile services in the UK, according to the proposed decision by UK's competition regulator. Around 90 to 100% of UK's mobile devices are running on Apple or Google. Well, what else is there to run on? How can they? Yeah, there's open competition, but give me a break. They're going to have to make changes because someone has not been able to compete with Android or Apple iOS. Thank God. Yeah, can't be helped. It's the way we're at today. NASA and SpaceX are ready for Crew 11 astronauts for historic liftoff. So the astronauts arrived at KSC, gearing up for the launch. Now, when is this going to happen? It looks like the 31st, so just a couple of days from now. And they're going to be um, they will join Expedition 73 and later Expedition 74. The mission will showcase continued collaboration between NASA, JAXA, and Roscosmos. So you got one Japanese, one Russian, and two Americans that are going. So good for them. And look at how thus far SpaceX is knocking it out of the ballpark and delivering on time to the ISS. Microsoft, according to Yahoo Finance, has to hit its earnings out of the park. You know, why isn't making some earnings just good enough? Everyone's pretty happy with this new EU trade agreement. People are going gaga over it. Can't believe they got that great of a deal. And of course, the eyes now turn to China, but people are really focused on Microsoft. Microsoft had a run in its Wednesday afternoon earnings report. Its stock is up, scoring 31% in the last 3 months. Now the tech giant has to deliver big. So, did they report already? This is Thursday, so maybe we're waiting on the earnings report. But again, they said they got to hit big, or they're going to hurt their stock. NASA is going to lose 4,000 employees after latest deferred resignation round. This is voluntary resignations. About 3,000 staffers applied to leave the Allen's agency after 870 were already approved. So basically, they get some 9 or 10 months of additional pay. They leave. They get their retirement if they qualify and so forth. So about 20% of NASA's workforce has decided it's time to do something else. So good for them. There's a disparity in basically cloud provider share, and it's huge. European cloud providers only make up 15% of local market, where basically everything else is owned by U.S. cloud market. European cloud infrastructure make up 15% of their own market, and the huge investment U.S. giants can wield make their dominance an impossible hill to climb for any would-be challenger. According to Synergy, local companies accounted for nearly 29% of cloud infrastructure revenue in 2017, but by 2022, they had dropped to 15%. Well, if you look at the infrastructure that AWS has put together and the tools they have put together and the relative ease if you have a good development team, it's a no-brainer. It really, really is. So, it's pretty remarkable, to be honest with you, that, this is another area of competition that has non-expanded. And I understand the uphill battle these companies face. On today's comments, feel free to drop me an email, geeknews@gmail.com at any time. We appreciate or a comment on X, as well as a great place to engage. Aeroflops over IT issues after attackers claim year-long compromise. Russia's top airline canceled 49 flights. Delay affects many, many more. So Aeroflot said via its Telegram channel was a failure in the airline's information services. So currently, a team of specialists working to minimize the risk of fulfilling its production flight plan. So I don't know if they were see here. Did they actually do a was it a ransomware or what? What was the effect of the hack? Does it say? Yeah. Doesn't say, oh, hacktivist crow about the attack. The Silent Crow and Cyber Partisan of Belarus, claim responsibility for today's disruption, which is following a year-long compromise of the airline system. They claim to compromise all critical corporate systems, including Aeroflot's SharePoint and Microsoft Exchange, those used for personal surveillance and more. Pair also claimed destroyed 7,000 servers and stolen 22 terabytes worth of data from databases. Windows share and corporate email through these claims are unverified and can be exaggerated. So, if it's affecting flights, there's definitely something going on here. There's an interesting post on Slashdot, and when I read this, and this is definitely the techie, super techies out there, um, Google has a new security project called OSS Rebuild, and it tackles package supply chain verification. Now, I know what packages are in the development world, but this includes automation to derive declarative build definitions, new build observability, a mouthful, and verification tools for security teams and even infrastructure definitions to help organizations rebuild, sign, and distribute provenance by running their own OSS rebuild instance. And as part of the initiative, the team also published SLSA provenance attestations for thousands of packages across our supported ecosystem. Now, that's a mouthful. Our aim at the OSS rebuild is to empower the security community to deeply understand and control their supply chain, their patch supply chain, I'm assuming, by making package consumption, in other words, software packages, as transparent as using a source repository. Our rebuild platforms unlocks transparency by utilizing a declarative build process, which is interesting. I wonder if that's a blockchain. Build instrumentation and network monitoring capabilities, which within the SLSA build framework. Boy, this is a mouthful. So they're going to be supporting Python, JS, uh, TS, and Rust uh, package registries, providing rebuild provenance for many of the most popular packages. Now, this is very, very curious here. In other words, did the package that's being submitted, is it from the person that's supposed to be submitting it? And is it not full of spyware? So there was a mouthful there. That was a mouthful and a half. But let me just say this: about time we have much more deeper tracking of this kind of stuff for sure. If you're a NASCAR fan, NASCAR confirms personal information stolen in a ransomware attack. NASCAR says names, social security numbers, and other personal information was stolen in April 2025 ransomware attack. Now, who was these individuals? Um, must have been employees. Affected individual provided 1 or 2 years free of credit identity monitoring services. And they also begin sending running notifications to impacted individuals. Must have been these were employees and not people that were buying NASCAR products and services. Amazon Fresh is going to open its first Philadelphia location. So if you live in Philly, have an Amazon Fresh. If you run WordPress, there's a plugin that has 160,000 sites at risk. If you're running post SMTP, let me, has it been updated? Uh, see here. They have a patch. So there's 400,000 active installations. So 160,000 have not updated post SMTP. You need to have your WordPress site up that's automatically apply plugin updates. Don't delay. Have plugin updates be set. Now you have to watch your host. They will also warn you and take plugins offline when they hit that severability uh, level as well. Now this is a goes way back to 2023. This next one, and it's interesting. Google has admitted its earthquake early warning system failed to accurately alert people during Turkey's deadly quake in 2023. 10 million people within 98 miles of the epicenter could have been sent Google's highest level alert, giving up to 35 seconds of warning to find safety. Instead, only 469 take action warnings were sent out for the first 7.8 magnitude quake. Google told BBC 500,000 people were sent a lower level warning, which is designed for light shaking and does not alert users in the same prominent way. And this alert system has been working since then in 100 different countries, and they have resolved whatever issues there were. So interesting that Google that actually announced this. Now, in probably the most bizarre thing that I have seen today, the president has temporarily dropped export controls to smooth negotiations with China. After previously saying the U.S. would block exports for key AI chips to China, the administration may have backtracked. The U.S. will now temporarily block restriction of export chips and other technology to China. The Financial Times report aims to help him get this trade deal through. Export controls are dictated by U.S. Commerce Department, which was reportedly told to avoid tough measures. Last week, NVIDIA said it would resume selling key AI chips to China after being blocked earlier. So, what's the truth here? This is a bad move. I agree. If they've opened up export of top end AI chips. Hmm. Okay, this is okay. This again, this science has a way of just kind of sometimes you're like, okay, how did they miss that? Trapped by moon dust, there's a physics error that fooled NASA for years. Earth test missed a key variable saying sand acts firmer under Earth gravity than lunar gravity. And it showed that rovers that we sent to the moon in the 60s or 70s lose more traction than previously believed. Engineers at the University of Wisconsin uncovered a critical flaw in how lunar and Martian rovers are tested on Earth. Simulations, Mars as well. Simulations reveal the test results misleading for decades because researchers only adjusted rover weight to simulate low gravity, but ignored how Earth's gravity affects the terrain itself. Using a powerful simulation tool called Chrono, the team showed that sandy surface behave very differently on the moon, where they are fluffier and less supportive. Okay, so we know that that Spirit got stuck for a little bit in 2009, and some other stuff has happened. So, well, I wonder what difference that's going to make. Rumored iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max feature suggests Apple's planning its biggest camera upgrade for many, many years. The top iPhone 17 models could get an 8 times optical zoom. An extra camera button could also be added, and Apple is said to be working a pro level camera app. I would not be surprised at all. Ladies, if you're using the T app has been hacked, and it spilled thousands of photos from this app. and there's not a lot you can do. T is a popular dating safety tool. 72,000 images pertaining to the app were involved, some of which were user photo IDs. And its worry here is potential identity theft, etc. So, again, if you've used T, um, what can you do if anything? Yeah, not much you can do. Just be aware. Insurance company Alliance Life says data on over a million U.S. customers stolen in breach. So these customers should be getting some notification, but 1.4 million customers could be at risk. And what did they get? Did they say? They did not say what was revealed. Now, this should not come as a surprise. VPN top download charts as age verification law kicks in. So VPN apps have become the most downloaded in Apple's App Store in the UK after sites such as Pornhub, Reddit, and X began requiring age verification of users on Friday. So VPNs can disguise your local location. It means people are likely using them to bypass the requirements of Online Safety Act. So if you have kids, again, in the UK, you need to ask them or look at their phone and see if they're using VPN. You get access to porn. Believe me, they're going to get access to it one way or the other. But I guess VPNs are the way uh, to that to that data or to that. I guess what do we want to call that? Uh, information. So a lot of good a law does when you can just use a VPN to bypass it. Insta360 has unveiled Anti-Gravity, the world's first 360 drone. Well, at least they've talked about it. They've done a pretty cool video, but apparently there is a drone that's being in work, but a 360 camera on a drone? We will see where this one goes. So has DJI met its match? I don't know. But I just, the stuff drones can do these days is so cool. Google's confirmed new Pixel phones, a watch, and earbuds. And, these have been already kind of talked about. As a matter of fact, they released the Pixel image, but the earbuds and watch have already been posted all over social. So, if you're a Pixel fan, a watch fan, or Buds fan, this is forthcoming from Google, and no surprise on the confirmation. Also, if you're having problems with searching public transit routes on Google Maps, you're not alone. So there's been apparently an issue. And I tell you, I used Google Maps almost exclusively when I was in Japan to ride the train system there. In the UK, definitely used the local app. That was much better. And once you learn how to use it, man, fabulous, fabulous app. They've done a good job in the UK on that mass transit piece. Took me maybe 2 or 3 rides to kind of get the total hang of it because it's not super intuitive. But once you learn how to operate around its quirks, it's fantastic. But um, it's difficult to assess how widespread the problem is. Um, some people are seeing it, some people are not. So just be aware. Also, a man has been awarded $12,500 after Google Street View camera caught him naked in his yard in Argentina. So, why was he naked in his yard? His house number and street name were also laid bare, no pun intended. Um, so he only had himself to blame, but Google is going to have to pay. Apparently, the perimeter wall around his home was not tall enough. Because, the camera sits on top of the car. So, um, yeah, it was within they were behind a fence that was taller than average privacy. Well, at least that's what he said. But, if we think about a Google car and how high the antenna is or the camera is, you could see how it would see over a fence. And they didn't catch it and were not able to blur him. So, yeah, imagine being sunbathing or whatever you may be doing in the confines of your backyard and being seen. Hey, as a reminder, don't forget to support our sponsor, GoDaddy at geeknesscentral.com/GoDaddy. Also, if you haven't become an insider yet, consider a 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, or $25 monthly donation for the show or one-time donation at geeknesscentral.com/insider. And as always, you can send me a tweet at Geek News or you can email me geeknews@gmail.com. It's been my pleasure to bring you the show today. I'll be back on Thursday with another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. It's been my pleasure. We'll see you next time. Everyone, thanks for being here. Take care, stay safe, and watch out for those cyber criminals. See you guys next time. Bye bye.